I'm Courtney Fallon, and welcome to the Game Plan on Reach TV, your insider guide to this week's key NFL action. In the Game Plan, I tap into the Bleav podcast network to bring you the most important information you need to know for this week's big games. Week 14 shook up the playoff picture with a number of top-tier teams going down. To find out what happens next in Week 15, I am joined by two-time Super Bowl champion Chris Hogan from the Patriots Report. Chris, you ready to play 3 and Out?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
Okay, first down. After the theatrics of Week 14 in the AFC, we have Miami at 9-4 and Baltimore at 10-3. Who nabs the top spot in the AFC?
Listen, I mean, the Dolphins obviously dropped one in Week 14. Baltimore's been playing well, but the rest of their last quarter of the season is no cakewalk for either of them. It's really like who's playing the best ball, who's the most healthy. I think really the Dolphins obviously have to come back pretty well after their Week 14 loss. I think the AFC is just up for grabs. I mean, that league has just been kind of so unpredictable and up and down. So to me right now, it seems like the Ravens are playing the best football at this point of the season. If they can continue that, I would guess that they nab that top spot.
Right, I agree with you there. All right, second down. LSU quarterback Jaden Daniels won the Heisman. Does his skill set fit in the NFL, and where would be the best fit for him? You got the Bears, the Patriots, the Arizona Cardinals, Washington, kind of at that logjam at the top 5. Where does Jaden Daniels fit in his skill set for this upcoming draft?
They're a dime a dozen. They come out, if these guys get drafted high, they come out and they're asked to be a starter right away. Playing quarterback in college compared to playing quarterback in the NFL, 2 different monsters. So I think really inevitably wherever he falls and whatever team drafts him, I think they have to really play to his skill sets initially. Don't try to make him something he's not. He's obviously a very talented athlete, a guy that can run the ball, and I think you really have to use those specific skill sets to him initially so that he can feel free, play to his strengths, and then, see how he develops as a quarterback in the NFL.
And for third down, the end of 2022, 5 coaches got fired. How many coaches do you think will get the axe at the end of 2023? What kind of jobs do you think will be the best gig? And I have to ask you, since you are on the Patriots Report, what do you think will be the future for the head coaching positions, not only in New England, but elsewhere?
I mean, I could start in New England and answer that pretty quickly. It's tough for me to even envision a world that Bill Belichick is not coaching the Patriots. Across the league, any job that anyone takes, I really think that they just have to be able to not try to do too much, really just adapt to the team that they're coming into, do a good job in the draft, in free agency, bring in that culture, try to change whatever you're trying to change, and then make sure that everyone around you is just being held accountable. We all know that after January 7th, there's going to be a few more head coaching vacancies.
My bonus question, the AFC North still has 4 teams over 500 on the year. Baltimore looks certain to take the division, but who finished second and why?
I'm going to have to say the Browns.
Yeah.
Look, the Steelers, there's just too much going on in that organization. So I think that Cleveland's has been playing good ball this year. I think that their defense has been really holding that team together. Their offense has been able to put points on the board, and they've been able to win games. So I think coming down the stretch, you're going to see Cleveland as grabbing that 2 spot in the AFC.
All right. I love it. I love it. Thank you so much for your time, Chris. I appreciate it. Hope to have you on again soon.
Thank you. It was fun.
All right. Coming up next, I'm breaking down my 3 key games that you need to know for Week 15 of the NFL. Stay right there. Each week, I like to focus on 3 key games that you need to know about. Entering Week 15, I have circled these 3 matchups, and we need to cover them right about now. My first key game focuses on 2 teams fighting to make the playoffs as the Bucs head north to the frozen tundra of Lambeau Field to take on the Packers. Tampa sits in a three-way tie for first place with Atlanta and New Orleans heading into Week 15. But listen, Baker Mayfield is having one heck of a year. He's played twice at Lambeau Field in his career, once with the Browns and once with the Rams, and he lost both times. Also, I mean, this is not sunny South Florida. It is very cold up there in Green Bay. To find out if the Bucs can do it this week, let's hear from Rhett Matthew and Evan Wanish from the Cannon Fire podcast. Guys, what is the game plan for Tampa Bay?
Thanks, Courtney. Rhett and Evan with the Cannon Fire podcast here, taking a look ahead at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers matchup in Lambeau with the Green Bay Packers. For the Bucs, if they're going to have any success on the offense this week, it's going to have to start with running back Rachaad White. He has absolutely come out of his shell in this offense and really helped this run game over the last few weeks. 2 games of 100-plus rushing yards in his last 3 games. I think throwing the football is going to be tough for Baker Mayfield this week, and with Rachaad White being more consistent in the run game, opening up some opportunities for play action later in the game, he's going to be huge for this Bucs offense this week.
I definitely agree. And on the defensive side of things, I think the pass rush, the Buccaneers pass rush, is going to be absolutely critical in this game. The Bucs pass rush has just been too inconsistent at times this season. They're going to need their pass rushers like Shaq Barrett, Joe Tryon-Shoyinka, even the rookies like Yaya Diaby and Kalijah Kancey to come alive and make an impact here.
Everybody loves Lambeau in December. Looking forward to an entertaining game. Back to you, Courtney.
All right, thanks, guys. I agree. The Bucs pass rush must show up and make an impact on the game. Turnovers were a huge issue with that Giants game. Let's see if they can force the Packers' hand this week. The Packers are coming off of a heartbreaking last-minute loss to the Giants in Week 14. Some will say that they blew their shot at the playoffs. I don't think we should be jumping the gun to that quite yet. They're a solid team all around. Jordan Love, he just needs to wake up because that loss was on the offense last week. But to find out how the Packers bounce back against the Bucs, let's hear from former Packer Mike Wall from the Off the Block podcast. Mike, what do you got for me?
Thanks, Courtney. And the Packers lost the game they feel they should have won, I think 24-22 to the Giants last Monday night. They gave up over 200 yards on the ground to Tommy DeVito and this Giants rushing attack. So what's it going to take for them to get back on track versus a Tampa Bay team that's fighting for the NFC South Championship? Number one, pre-snap recognition. Jordan Love and this young offensive skill group has really done a good job of identifying, communicating, and executing pre-snap at the line of scrimmage. Number two, attack the line of scrimmage. How does the Packers defensive line dominate what I think is a weaker offensive line for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and make this a one-dimensional game, make Baker Mayfield win this game for you? And then third, we have to win the early downs offensively, and that really means running the football. We're not getting consistent effort from the running back position. Our offensive line's not doing a good job of creating opportunities for A.J. Dillon and company to really get moving. Mike Wall, at MikeWall68 on Twitter, Process to Perform on Instagram. The podcast is on my block. We break down tape twice a week, every week. Hope you enjoy it. Back to you, Courtney.
Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it. Yes, I agree. The Packers must be better at pre-snap recognition against the Bucs, and that offensive line has got to attack the line of scrimmage. Listen, to me, this is a no-brainer. The Bucs haven't traveled well this season, and you don't know which Baker Mayfield is going to show up. So I got Green Bay to take the game. My second key game of Week 15 brings us to Jacksonville as the Jaguars host the AFC North leading Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens are heating up at the perfect time in the season. They fought off a tough Rams squad last week, winning on an overtime walk-off punt return touchdown. That is a mouthful, I will tell you that. In Week 15, they will have to find a way to win against a Jaguars squad that is dealing with some injuries, but most importantly, is looking for a way to scrap and stay atop their division. So to find out how Baltimore can make things difficult for the Jags, we talked to Daniel Wilcox and our boy, Kyrie Thompson from the Bleav in Ravens podcast. Fellas, what do you got for me?
Thanks a lot, Courtney. Little touch and go for the Baltimore Ravens against the Los Angeles Rams, but they got the job done. Thank you, Tylan Wallace. Now they're going up against a very good Jaguars team, but a Jaguars team that just took a pretty stunning defeat to the Cleveland Browns. What'd you see, first of all, in this last game? What you looking for this weekend?
Kyrie, Courtney, I'm telling you, this last game was phenomenal. Super excited. Great win by the Baltimore Ravens. Well played by the Los Angeles Rams. I knew it was going to be a tough game. Didn't know it was going to be that tough. And this week coming up won't be anything less than disappointing as well, because it's going to be a hard, tough one against these boys.
Absolutely. And Lamar Jackson had himself a tremendous game last week. Going to need another one against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Trevor Lawrence is a little dinged up. He's still one of the best quarterbacks in the league, and they have a good running game with Travis Etienne. Going to be tough to slow him down, but the Baltimore Ravens can do it. Back to you, Courtney.
Okay, so the Jags defense has some holes in the secondary, and the Ravens, they got to take advantage of that. Listen, the Ravens are the best team in the league right now, and they're getting healthier and more consistent as the weeks go on, especially in the passing game. I like to see them going strong to the finish, and I think that's exactly what they're going to do. The Jacksonville Jaguars have had a roller coaster of a season, and unfortunately for them, they're heading in the wrong direction so far in December. They've lost 2 straight, and QB1 Trevor Lawrence is playing through an ankle injury that is affecting his performance, to say the least. So to find out if they can defend home territory and get the W, let's hear from Justin Dunk and Mia O'Brien from the Bleav in Jaguars podcast. Guys, what can we expect, and which version of the Jaguars can we expect this week?
Thanks, Courtney. In Week 15, we have the Ravens coming to the bank to play the Jaguars on Sunday Night Football. Mia, I think you said that Trevor Lawrence was, 9 years old?
9 years old.
The last time that the Jags were on Sunday Night Football?
Yes, back in 2008. We've had so much fun with these records being broken this year.
So get us set for this one. What do we need to know?
Yeah, I think that the Jaguars defense has to respond. We would have said that last week after their Monday night loss to the Bengals, but especially now. To the Jaguars' credit, against a pretty good/replenished Cleveland run attack with Jerome Ford and company, they held them to 2.9 yards per play on the ground. They didn't get to Joe Flacco this past weekend. They can get to Lamar Jackson, though, if they continue to stop the run and try to create opportunities off blitzes. Hopefully having Trey Herndon, their nickel cornerback, and having a healthy Andre Cisco at the safety position will afford them that opportunity, as well as the continued ascension of 5th-round rookie Antonio Johnson.
Just like that, you're all set. Ravens, Jaguars, Sunday Night Football. Back to you, Courtney.
Okay, I agree with you, Mia. The Jags defense must step up and respond this week. In terms of this game and my opinion on the game, the Jags defense paired with Trevor Lawrence, who still don't know what really happened with his ankle. Clearly he wasn't at 100% last week. Can they put together multiple wins at this point in the season going into a playoff run? I just can't see it with the health of their star QB. I'm taking Baltimore in this game, the best team in the league. My final key game for Week 15 has the NFC East leaders, the Dallas Cowboys. Dem boys. They're heading north to Buffalo to battle the Buffalo Bills. The Dallas Cowboys should be feeling great about themselves right now. They got their revenge on the Philadelphia Eagles on Sunday Night Football in front of everyone in the country, and they took over first place in the division with a decisive win. To find out how the Cowboys can win a 6th straight game, let's hear from Dallas Cowboys radio host Jeff Kavanaugh and former Cowboys wide receiver Jesse Holley from the Bleav in Cowboys podcast. Guys, lay it on me. What do you got?
Thanks, Courtney. Yes, this is Bleav in the Dallas Cowboys reporting live from first place in the NFC East. But the Cowboys have another tough one. Road game, Buffalo Bills coming up. Jesse Holley, what are we looking for?
Man, we're looking for another tough road game. We know what the Cowboys at home, averaging over 40 points a game at home, but they are a different team on the road, only averaging 24 points on the road this season. Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills just came off a win over the Kansas City Chiefs. Anytime you have to leave home and go all the way up to Buffalo in that weather and that cold, it's going to be a challenge for the Cowboys. But I like the way that they're playing right now. Defense is playing well. Old man Stephon Gilmore is playing well. Dak is playing. If he's not the leader in the MVP category, I don't know what more he has to do. But going up to Buffalo and getting a W will definitely help his case.
Dak is currently leading in the odds to win the Most Valuable Player Award in the NFL. Cowboys by 100. Back to you, Courtney.
Here we go.
All right, thanks, guys. Yes, the Dallas Cowboys are a much different team on the road than they are at home. They're undefeated at home. The Buffalo Bills are fighting hard to keep their playoff hopes alive, as was evident last week when they took care of business against the defending Super Bowl champs, the Kansas City Chiefs. This week, they'll need to repeat that impressive performance against an even better team, the Dallas Cowboys. To find out if Josh Allen can lead his team to victory at home, let's hear from Mookie Hawkins and Justice Radford from the Bleav in Bills podcast. Guys, how can Buffalo pull off another impressive win?
Thank you, Courtney. The Buffalo Bills are coming off of another huge win this weekend as they defeat the defending Super Bowl champions Kansas City Chiefs 20-17. How big was that win for this team and their playoff hope, Coach?
Oh, it was a great win. Definitely a big win because, Kansas City has not lost to too many teams in the AFC. I told you, the X factor, James Cook. He got to cooking early, and when he wasn't out there, the Bills kind of stalled out. So, the X factor proved to be the point.
Yeah, the Bills definitely look like they got a new weapon in James Cook. We look forward to the Dallas Cowboys this upcoming week, a intra-conference matchup, but it is one of the best teams, if not the best team in the league. How do you expect them to fare this weekend?
We're definitely going to see what the Bills have to offer. I'm quite sure the Snowman, Mitch Morris, and Osiris Torrance and those guys are going to be up for the challenge. So it definitely starts there. We'll see what the X factor relies on offense, but it starts up front.
That'll do it for us here at Bleav in Bills. Back to you, Courtney.
Appreciate the insight. I love that I agree with you. This game will be decided in the trenches. The Bills are nearly unbeatable at home. I mean, they only show up for home games despite losing 3 of their last 5. Their defense is even better, though. They've only given up 14.5 points at home. I'm taking the Bills to beat the Cowboys. Bills money line, baby. Who else is with me? Those are my key games for Week 15. Next up is everything that you need to know to win your fantasy football matchup. Okay, it is that time of the show where we play Pick 6 on the game plan. And joining me to pick her Week 15 lineup is Kate Constable from the Bringing Home the Hardware podcast. It is about time that we had a female on this show talking fantasy football. Kate, welcome to the program. It is a pleasure to have you, my dear.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. Glad I can be one of the first women on the show as well.
Listen, it's about time. I mean, we're just going to kick things off so strong because you're going to go through your top Week 15 fantasy lineup for this week. Let's start with quarterback. And Jalen Hurts is your number 1 guy. Why do you have him first on your QB lineup?
Yeah, I think we're looking at a big bounce back game from Jalen Hurts after the Eagles lost to the Cowboys last week. And that was Hurts' first game without a passing or rushing touchdown. He also had a season low in fantasy points. So I like him to come back this week, have a big week through the air against the Seahawks defense. And after back-to-back losses for the Eagles, they're kind of desperate for a win. They need a massive performance to get that done, and that starts with Jalen Hurts. So I think Hurts is due for a big game this weekend against the Seahawks.
All right, I agree with you right there. I mean, I'm big on the Eagles. I'm high on the Eagles. You can't lose more than 2 or 3. I mean, this next team, They did lose 3 in a row. The San Francisco 49ers at one point in the season, but they had an epic bounce back. And your guy, Christian McCaffrey, is still in the running for MVP of the league. And why is he your number 1 guy?
Yeah, part of the 49ers bounce back is because Christian McCaffrey has been so good as of late. Playing the Cardinals this weekend. And when facing opposing running backs, the Cardinals' defense is pretty bad. Arizona's also giving up the most receiving touchdowns per game to opposing backs. We know McCaffrey's good for a couple of those every now and then. I think he can kind of shred this defense in so many different ways. So he is my RB1 this week for fantasy.
Moving on to your wide receiver 1. Listen, the Rams, they're making their comeback. And of course, I mean, the comeback kid for everything. He is invincible as Matthew Stafford. And the reason for this really high drive late in the year is because of his rookie wide receiver, Puka Nacua.
Yeah, you could kind of take Puka Nacua or Cooper Kupp in this spot if you want to go with the Rams receiver, but I like Nacua here. Nacua finished with 84 yards last week, 105 in Week 13, and Washington's secondary is awful, giving up more receiving yards per game and more yards per reception to opposing wide receivers than any other team in the league. So he is my wide receiver 1 this week.
And in terms of your tight end going forward, listen, we talked about this right before we jumped on air. You have a decision between Travis Kelce and Sam Laporta, and Sam Laporta is your number 1 tight end for this week.
But Sam Laporta is my number 2 tight end. I'm actually going to bench him this week for Travis Kelce.
Okay.
Surprise a little here for you on the show. I think Patrick Mahomes is going to look towards his favorite target a ton this week, and that's Travis Kelce. Kelce's had at least 81 yards in each of his last 3 games. He was targeted 10 times last week. I expect similar numbers from him against New England as the Chiefs look to snap this 2-game losing streak, kind of uncharted territory for Kansas City right now.
Well, listen, if there's any team that they can do it against, it certainly is New England Patriots. All right, defense. You got San Francisco. I mean, they just keep really putting up the numbers at this point. Why do they have your number one defensive pick for this week?
Yeah, I mean, how good has San Francisco's defense been this year? Over the last 5 games, 49ers have averaged nearly 4.5 sacks per game, 1.5 interceptions, and only allowed 13 points per game. So I just don't see this Cardinals offense being able to move the ball at all against San Fran's defense. I'm expecting quite a few turnovers. I think they can put up quite a few points on the defensive end.
All right, well, our last and final pick is your wire pickup. I mean, there's a lot of options here. Why are you choosing between Ezekiel Elliott and Ty Chandler? I mean, obviously Ezekiel Elliott, to me, they've given up on Mac Jones for the year, but Ty Chandler is kind of your number one guy. Which one would you decide between the two?
Yeah, with Ezekiel Elliott going up against the Chiefs defense this weekend, I'm going to choose Ty Chandler. He's averaging just over 4 yards per rushing attempt. He's also been really effective in the passing game, so I think there's plenty of upside with Chandler and Mullins on the field together. Chandler can kind of act as a running back and a receiving back, rack up quite a few points if, in fact, Madison is out this weekend. So Ty Chandler is my wire pickup.
Listen, beauty and brains. Boom. What else do you need? You got it all with Kate Constable doing our pick 6 for the game plan. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
That's all the time we have on the game plan today. Go check out the Bleav Podcast Network for more in-depth analysis on every team in the league. And also, don't forget, you can catch every game live on Reach TV all season long. We'll see you next week.